Hi Libra, welcome to your May 2020 love reading. It's Rena here, just stoking up my sage. I don't know if you can hear that, just to get everything good. Okay. Let's see what we have here. This is a reading for people who are single and looking, or people who are in relationships that are struggling and looking for a message as well. Looking for a message. And what I was going to say is looking for a message, but not something that is just kind of like random, that's, you know, your fairy godmother, but really looking at what can I do about this situation. Not acting like life is happening to you, but life is happening for you. That's something I've heard lately. It's funny, I've been getting that Tower in the reversed position. We've been having kind of like Tower moments lately, haven't we? All of a sudden, everything changes in our lives. And what does that mean? Okay. Well, what we have here in the centerpiece is a card that's associated with Virgo. And then we have that as the final card. So, you know, if there's anybody of that sign in general, perhaps that is indicating a future with that person. Doesn't have to be somebody you're currently dating, just somebody that you admire, that you are attracted to. But in general, we have the Hermit as the centerpiece, so this is kind of the theme of this reading at this time. Even though this is from May, I mean, it's rather arbitrary. It could be just for this time period. I have to label it somehow, but in any case, the Hermit is a card of seeking wisdom, but seeking it from yourself, not looking to the outside world to provide it for you. And also being alone. Now, I have been getting that Hermit card over and over and over again. Not talking about love readings, but in the mid-month readings that I just did not too long ago. And I think other ones as well. And given the state of the world at the time that I'm recording this, mid-April, that makes a lot of sense about being alone. Now, some people may not have wanted to be alone. They may not have chosen it. It was imposed upon them, and that has to be acknowledged, but it can still lead to the same outcome. And if you are in a relationship, it can mean that you have separated from somebody in order to kind of get your head straight, which I think is a great idea, actually. If somebody is in a bad relationship, a bad marriage, or other type of live-in relationship, and they don't want to just throw in the towel, but they don't want to just allow things to continue as usual. Living in under a different roof, I think, can be very good, because it can give you that space to be able to see things from a fresh set of eyes, you know, and not have that constant influence of that person. But in general, this can be a time of reflection more than anything else. It's not necessarily a time of taking radical steps. And if you're, by the way, if you're single, this may be a period that you have been deliberately being single, you know, have been single, that you have been trying to avoid getting involved in a relationship, perhaps because of past situations that didn't end the way that you want them to. Because typically Libra does want to go from one relationship to the next, but you may have kind of reconsidered that and said, you know, okay, I've done this so much, I want to try something different. In the past position, we have the Knight of Cups. And this is a card of an offer of love. This is a very romantic individual. You know, this is water sign energy. I don't know if it's attributed to a particular water sign. I don't know if I feel anything towards a particular water sign. Maybe possibly a Cancer. And definitely Cancer, being a cardinal sign, is a sign that you may gravitate towards, even though water and air are very, very different types of elements. But regardless of what the sign is, the person may be kind of coming at you with this sort of a courtly, you know, vibe, if you will. And this is the past position. So some sort of, you know, like for instance, if you were, if you met somebody while you were married and that person sparked within you this revelation that you could have in a relationship something that was not just kind of mundane and just boring, but that you could have something that really stirred your heart, that may have caused you to reconsider everything. And that might be, you might have sought a separation yourself because you want to get your head together and you don't want to just kind of run away with romantic fantasies. It could be something along those lines too. Because I don't see this Knight of Cups as a bad person at all. I feel like they really are coming to you with some kind of genuine intent. If the card had been reversed, I would say, oh my gosh, you know, this person is probably pretending to be something that they're not. But I don't have that here. So I have to think that it's a good thing. And the thing is, even if you're single, this person may have tried to make advances. I mean, when I say advances, I do not mean physical advances. I don't know how else to put it, but may have made overtones to you. Overtures, maybe overtures is the way you're supposed to say it. And maybe you're the one holding back because, again, you're feeling very burnt out with relationships or what have you. As the higher message, we have the Tower card, and this is about some kind of a shock being over with. And that is important because if, like, let's say you are a single Libra individual who is still reeling from a relationship that ended when you found out that the person was cheating on you. And it was really, you know, it could have been as severe as walking in on that person while they were in the act. I mean, it could be really that shocking or traumatic. And perhaps it happened a year ago, 2 years, 3 years ago, and you're still alone. While it may have been prudent to do that and to really kind of, you know, explore what's going on, you may be at the point where you have somebody really wonderful who is expressing interest. And not just, actually, this is not just interest. I mean, this person may have feelings for you, and you're the one that is kind of keeping yourself under wraps. What crosses you is the Ace of Swords. Now, typically when I see this card, I think of somebody who is in denial over a situation. And in this particular case, what I think is happening isn't that you are deluded about a current relationship. I mean, I suppose there's so many possibilities with interpreting these cards, but I just feel like this is not the typical situation of somebody in denial over somebody cheating, because When I get the Hermit, I feel like you are not trying to be in a relationship right now, even if you're still legally married to someone. You're really keeping your distance. And with the Ace of Swords in the challenge position, it can be that you are having a hard time moving forward. And it has something to do with what you're telling yourself. And this is a card that's associated with mental clarity. So there might be some denial. And an example would be you're still hung up on a person who turned your life upside down. And sometimes it's hard to admit that to oneself because you feel foolish that you could still have feelings for somebody who destroyed or you feel, and maybe other people that you know feel destroyed your life. And what I would say to that is that it's okay if you feel like that. Some of you may have inner planets in Scorpio, and even, some of you may have the moon in Scorpio or the moon in Pisces, and or the moon, any water sign, Cancer, and it's very hard for you to move on to the next relationship. That's just how you're wired. So even if somebody breaks your heart, you still may be hoping in the back of your mind that it's just a fling, they're going to get tired of that person, and then they'll come back to you. And this is where it does go into delusion and doesn't serve you, because you could be wasting time that could be better served getting on with your life, meeting new people, dating, or if you just are not into that, enjoying yourself. Maybe the Hermit means that you've been kind of keeping yourself from socializing in general. And so usually a Libra is a very social sign, but perhaps you have been. Now, obviously with the current situation, we're not talking about that. We're talking about when all of this is over with and there is the opportunity for you to mingle. Will you feel like you're not ready? I think that's perfectly, even if it's been a few years, I can see that. But the thing is that hopefully you're seeing the situation that occurred in a very clear way, that you're not being delusional in the sense that you are hoping that maybe that person is just having a midlife crisis or trying to make excuses for it, because it's entirely possible. I mean, there are I do believe that there are situations that might be a little bit different than the typical one, where somebody is cheating and maybe they can reunite with their current partner. But the problem is that if you're going to just sit there and wait for that to happen, then to me that's kind of being frozen in time, and it's not really looking at the truth of the situation. Keeping yourself from any other romantic situation, or even just keeping yourself from enjoyable situations because you feel like you can't enjoy life, is just punishing to yourself. And that's where I think the Ace of Swords is like your swords. So really about your ability to forge ahead. Actually, just the other day, let's see, what's today's date? I'm recording this on April 14th, and on April 7th, so exactly a week ago, there was a full moon in your sign. And that could have indicated that you learned something about yourself, or that you were able to let go of a certain aspect of this. Hopefully, it is some of the things, the thoughts that you're having there, keeping you rooted in place. What's coming in, this is another card that's associated with you. A Justice card. Could be advice. And I think that because this, holding the scales, we're talking about balance and fairness, I think really this is more, if it isn't about, like, if you are married or something, you might say, you know what, this is over with. This relationship, it may have had a season, but now we're done, and the justice card could be, okay, now I'm going to consult a lawyer, I'm going to consult somebody to help me to move on in life, because I don't feel that the two of us are compatible any longer. Even if that person apologizes, in some cases you may have already dealt with certain things with this person, and you really are convinced that they're not going to change fundamentally, that they are using these situations, and this may not be the only situation that has occurred, as an excuse, or something else that's going on in your relationship with them, as an excuse to act out like this, and then they blame you. So that could be why the Ace of Swords is in the challenged position as well. So it could be seeking out legal advice, or going down the legal route if you're married. This can be, to me, a card of Libra. Of course, you're Libra, so I'm thinking that if the other person is as well, that you are interested in a relationship with them after all. The Knight of Cups, in other words. And that the main thing, though, when I see this card for love, and based on this particular reading, is having as much regard for yourself as you do for others. And that's what I mean about balance, about fairness. When we talk about politics and we talk about these kinds of issues, we talk about rights, the right of a person. And you have rights as well. Even if you really care about how other people feel, you still have a right to happiness. And if you have been with somebody who has siphoned off that happiness, and you feel like you're left with just a shell of yourself, then it just shows you that the relationship was predominantly negative, that it may have had some good angles to it. Maybe you have children together. Maybe maybe there's some things that you have in common with this person that are good, but you may have given them too much of your essence, and that you neglected yourself. And so that might be something that needs to change. The outcome is the Page of Pentacles. Interestingly, pages can be new beginnings. We do have a new moon in Pisces, in Taurus that is happening. And Taurus is one of the earth signs that is represented by the Pentacles on April 22nd. So, and the sun going into that. Now, I realize that this reading is labeled for May, but really, whenever I do the reading, these issues may come to the forefront, and a lot of people will be listening before the 22nd of April. So I think it's apropos. But really, the Page of Pentacles may be engaging in a new kind of series of practices that have to do with the body that can be very helpful obviously there are physical benefits to it, like any kind of issue with weight, obesity, all those kinds of things. If you engage in a program, a physical program, but it's also about self-care on a different level. So it's like it's really symbolism for caring for the self at a higher level. And this may be something that you are not sure about, when I'm talking about this, that's just one possibility. Another possibility is, even like if this is a situation at work or about work, the hermit may be that you are kind of like rethinking what you're doing and seeing how it impacts others, that it's not something that's just about you. And so an example would be selling something that you don't feel is really helpful to mankind, that it's actually somewhat harmful, and saying, I want to live a more meaningful life. I want to do something that I feel is going to help people, not hurt them. That's not, the fact that I'm supporting myself with this isn't a good enough reason. So, yeah, I mean, it could be that you're thinking in terms of your professional life with this type of situation. But the main thing when it comes to love, which is what this reading is for, is that it's asking of you to realize so the page of the outcome is the Page of Pentacles, and this can be a card that is connected to new beginnings as it relates to a relationship with an earth sign, or perhaps just your own routine, your own, on the material level, and that being something that you're doing that will benefit you on multiple levels. As far as relationships go, this may be a relationship with somebody where it has a chance of lasting, where it's not going to be just a flash in the pan. The two people may really have a lot in common and have that ability to keep the relationship going for the long haul instead of just like a short affair. So it may be something that's more reliable if you've had with the Tower card, if you've had this drama or just like this situation where you were shocked and you didn't know what was going on, somebody, just pulled the rug out from under you in your life, then the Tower card might be you being able to get over that and finding somebody who is much more practical and dependable, and that kind of attitude in life. So I hope that this resonated with you, Libra, and that you enjoyed it. And if you'd like a personal reading, the link is below. Thanks for watching. Take care. Bye.